This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Oh,
This little light of mine,
this little light of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah.
This little light of mine,
This little light of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Little light of mine,
Oh,
I'm gonna let it shine.
yeah.
Let it shine.
Shine, 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 shine.
Everywhere I go,
Everywhere I go, yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine. I got to let it shine. Everywhere I go,
Everywhere I go,
I'm
yeah.
gonna let it shine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everywhere I go, come on and let it. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Down the road,
All down the road. Come on and go with me. I'm gonna let it shine.
oh, down the road.
All down the road. Come on and go with me. I'm gonna let it shine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
All down the road. All down the road. I'm gonna let it shine.
Good morning. Once again, this is a beautiful season because this is Thanksgiving season and we still on it. The other night, Brother Minister Tucker, Lynn Tucker, had a show and it was powerful. He was giving thanks. But we still giving thanks because sometimes we just big, and we don't stop to remember. And that's why we open up with this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. When I was a boy down home, my granddaddy would be standing up there in that pulpit. They started singing that. We knew we was finna have church. Now we know today's Saturday, but you're gonna still have a little church up here today. Because we got a couple of people here whose light's been shining real bright for a long time. And today we want to salute the pioneers like Miss Mason and Mr. Sane. These are people that have the root from way back yonder, and their light is still shining today. And Miss Johnson will be joining us in a minute. But today we want to thank all of those old timers the pioneers, some of them gone on, God rest their soul, who started the parent patrols and done them for free. And they actually started them on the south side, in Mr. Sain's and Miss Mason's school area. Matter of fact, home area. So today, we just gonna go down memory lane a little bit. And we're gonna have people to introduce themselves, and then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna start at a point that really got my attention. Well, I'm gonna tell you about that directly. Miss Mason, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. My name is Viola Mason. I was one of the original 8 members of the Parent Patrol, which started at Overton Elementary School. Myself, Mary Jones, Darlene Johnson, Linda Redmond, Terry Cooks, Betty Holmes, and a grandmother, Eleanor Davis, decided to walk the children to school and home because it was not safe. It came about because someone in the neighborhood was molesting our little girls, 6, 7-year-old girls. And we just decided that we was going to do something about it. And that is when I met Chuck Hill, the principal. Okay. And he said, well, what you want to do about it? So the police came about, Mr. Sain and the gentleman came about. So we got together and we decided what we want to do and what we want to call it. And Chuck said, Mr. Hill said, let me check and see is it legal. And we told him. He said, now you can't keep jumping in and out. You got to come on with it. So in the neighborhood, the student was afraid. The teachers were afraid. We were afraid too, but we always figured it was safety in numbers.
Ooh, you see where we going. So just hold on for a minute. Brother Boys can say who he is, but if you don't know who Boys is, you ain't gonna have no business looking at the show.
Yeah, well, you know, it's simple. I'm here because I want to, for the folk at home who are now doing the same thing, know where it originally started from and how it was built to capacity. It was powerful then. But I'll just adhere to the king here.
Oh,
and the
no.
queen.
Look, I mean, to introduce myself to a humble panel like this, folks out there, they know me. Gregory saying, stake your claim with Gregory saying, and I said that because my stake and my claim have been as a result of our ancestors. So seriously, I'm gonna bring it full circle real quick, that from feeling like an abolitionist to a freedom fighter, we call it mentoring, we call it male responsibility, but the root of everything about me really stemmed from Greenville, Mississippi. And then my mom moved around Chicago and we ended up on 48th and State, 4848 South State, apartment 1106. Anthony Overton was the elementary school that I was bullied. The school that I was bullied. At my school, bullied. That's my mother calling. Want to know if I'm on television. That's my mama calling. Want to know if I'm on television. But over at Anthony Overton is where this all started. And Chuck Hill, Mr. Chuck Hill, I gotta say this. I know a lot of people, you talk about prophets and you talk about messengers and angels. You talk about the ones way back then. You know their name, but you don't know the name of the contemporaries in your household, in your community. Chuck Hill was, in fact, an angel sent by God to the projects. And he lifted up so many people that today I'm bearing witness to a good man. And there's so many good men and women in our community. So brothers like Maalik and Boise, this platform is so critical that you should know where things started. It's not an accident. At CPS, I'm over the Safe Passage program. That's not an accident. And that's why when I'm speaking to the people, they hear themselves. They know he's one of us. And I'm proud to be, I wouldn't have ever wanted to grow up anywhere else in America, in the world, but the Robert Taylor homes. I mean, these were people like Maalik. He still got that, when you see Maalik out there, he still got the old school parent patrol style. Now, some people, they not accustomed to it because his is full of beyond love like you.
It's in the heart.
It's in the heart. You can't train people like that. So I can't train him. He've already been taught by the best. So it's amazing because that was always a challenge for us. Chuck Hill could have did all our training with one conversation. But I want to come back at some point because I got to talk about Anthony Overton, and I get a little nervous and a little shook up when I talk about Overton because that's where my first bully was in my life. And I'm living in the Jets, and I hit a bully, and I ran into this bully after so many years to show you how life works. And I'm walking down the street on 47, and Lord behold, here she come walking down the street. It was Rose. Rose chased me. Rose helped my track career. I ended up being a world-class sprinter at Drake. I ran for DuSable, but thanks to Rose. Rose chased me. She wouldn't come past Wabash. She chased me all the way from Indiana in front of what was the ice cream place?
Baldwin ice cream.
Baldwin ice cream. Shake me up and down. But you know what? She was a good lady, but she was just misguided. So now we got misguided folk that he deal with, I deal with, you deal with, Boise, every day. Yes. See? Now we dealing with a whole nother, that's why Jesus said, for greater works I do, ye shall do greater work. That's what he meant, folks. Throw away your Bible and your Quran, all your books, if you don't understand that he was saying that we possess more power than him. Way more power than him. Can I turn water into wine? Yep. I can change your spirit. That's what that means. Yep, we all got that ability. And it's a deeper grade of water now. He said, Maalik, you should talk about that with all these toxins.
Yeah, because what happens is that we have been subliminally programmed. And part of what happens when I think about this, Safe Passage, Cultural Calm, in 2010 when they brought it out, Mr. Sane was there, but Mr. Sane was over here. And the police was in charge. I mean, it actually kicked off this time, the resurrection, with the police. And then Ms. Chow, Mr. Ruiz, and Mr. Sane moved in. And now that takes us back to here. Miss Mason there, Miss Mason's still over there at DuSable.
Yes.
But Mr. Jose, would you bring this other little PSA in simply because of the fact that I wanted to set the stage of where I'm finna try to go here because we finna move quick. We finna quick start it because we do want to detoxify our community. See, sometimes you hear me and Boise talking, and sometimes we have struggles. Sometimes the Safe Passage workers and others, they stand in the cold, they do this, they go through changes, and they struggle. But I had the privilege the other day, thanks to Mr. Sane, to be at a meeting with a lot of other people where Dr. Bennett Bird was speaking. And Dr. Bird said something that sounded so much like me and Boise and Al Kendall back in the day. She said, and Phil Hampton and Mr. Sane said, we want to engage the community. Don't get this twisted. Safe Passage workers ain't just standing there being visible. Their job is like what Harold Washington and them said, to be the catalyst, to be what make it happen, to do what Mr. Sane and them used to do, figure out why that kid ain't in school. So when Dr. Bennett Bird said she wanted relationships built, and she wanted people moving around like Mr. Sane had been training all of us all year. If you're not speaking to these children, you might not be here. You got to reach out. You got to touch them. You got to figure out why this kid walking around today and it's 27 degrees and all drawed up, and you know they ain't trying to be cute. You got to have the nerve. That's what we talking about. But so many of us say, oh, she's just trying to be cute. No, maybe she just don't have a jacket. But come on, Mr. Jose, bring that in, and then we're going to go down memory lane with some of these pictures, and we're going to really just sit back and let Miss Mason and Mr. Sane. And Al Kilmer, I know you down in Springfield. But he was very instrumental. He was coordinator over at the King Center for the Department of Human Services. And he was working very closely with that Parent Patrol.
You know,
Yes.
I know you get ready to
No,
show
but
this
go on.
video,
Take your
but look, many of you all out there, we use safe passage. But there was a safe passage when people like you, some of you all complain, but you're not involved. And there's scholars up here, there's folks up here got the credentials, they got all of that. But they got a big heart. They got what you gonna wish you had soon, because you look at other stuff and look for other people and other institutions to fix what we should be fixing, and you don't speak. You don't engage. Now we got folks standing in the cold, in the hot weather, not for a lot, trying to make a difference in a society that's dysfunction.
That's right.
And that's the greater works that Jesus spoke about. He didn't have to deal with nothing like this at all. So when we dress up and we out there, it's strictly the love and respect and honor that we have for the people in the village. And that's real talk.
That's real talk.
I mean, from the Robert Taylor Homes, I'm on DuSable's stage, a student who got put out of that auditorium a few times, but I'm on the stage talking to the people. I know all those folks is like, oh my Lord, if Gregory Sane
That's right.
could be up here,
That's right.
the boy that was put out. See, but I had Chuck Hill. I had those individuals like Big Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Playing softball with the Van Dykes.
Missing.
The real 16-inch softball. We were doing that. That I'm telling you, what we've been doing all this time, and it's not, you can call it a program. It's not a program. It's a lifestyle.
That's right.
That's what we've been doing all the time. Those folks in the village right now, they stuck. They stuck. Many of them stuck. They'll walk their dog before they speak
That's right.
to a human being. And I'm not talking about all of you all. You don't get offended. But many of you all, you bond with other than human people. And we speak to everybody that walk by us. And that comes from Mississippi. Because folks was looking at me crazy when we moved here. I would speak to everybody. And it has changed down south now.
That's right.
This stuff didn't messed up the South.
It's like a cancer.
Like a cancer. I mean,
Spread.
boys, I would go down south now, and people, they would they waved like they were tired. Now it's like,
Yeah.
that's how they wave. You know, back in the day, it was like,
That's right.
they ain't know you. You just drive them down 61. Now it's like this.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
And see, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this too. But come on, Jose, because he just mentioned the ancestor. He mentioned the root, and he brought us to a point that I really want Miss Mason to start off at. But let's do this piece because this little light of mine is shining through these people. But let's talk about something else, Jose. Throw it to him for a minute and meditate on this.
Most of us, at some point in our lives, have somebody that means more to us than anybody else has ever meant before or will ever mean again. Sometimes it's a long-legged lady if you're a man, or some tall, very smooth man if you're a woman. And in some odd cases, they get kind of crossed up. We won't talk about those. But in my case, I learned how to really love somebody from not a very pretty lady, not at that point in her life, not sexy at all, but just a nice old lady who used some very nice old gnarled hands to make life kind of nice for me at that time when I really needed somebody. And it wasn't after I got older and started to look around for things, it was before I even knew what I was looking for. And probably, since I consider myself somebody who writes primarily, out of all the things that I might have written, my favorite thing that I've written has to be about this favorite old lady of mine. Grandma's hands, then Grandma's hands used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hands picked me up each time I fell. Oh, Grandma's hands, boy, they really came in handy. She'd say, Matty, don't you whip that boy. What you wanna spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core, but I don't have Grandma anymore. If I get to heaven, I'll look for Grandma's hand. Thank you.
You know, we've been doing this for a long time, but every now and then we just have to stay close to our roots. When Mr. Sane talk about down Mississippi, we all know about Grandma's hand.
Yes.
Another day when that turkey was being cut, before it was cut, Grandma's hand had massaged it. And it was that love that went into that turkey and that dressing that got you here today. So we are still in the spirit of Grandma's hand. So we salute Grandma. Those that's gone, God rest their souls. Those that's here, we thank you for being here. Now, Miss Mason said something to me the other day at the training that Mr. Sane conducted over there at the South. She said, I walked to the auditorium and I opened that door and tell us what you felt, Miss Mason.
When I actually opened the door and I saw all these workers stemming from the Pan Patrol, it took me, I went back and forth 20-some years, and it was just so amazing that it almost brought me to tears. I was totally choked up to see that we still care about the children. That's still number one. And I went back to Overton where it all started.
That's right.
And then I came back to DuSable where we needed to start it in a high school level. But today, I am thankful for Mr. Leo Ellis, Mary Jones. This is Mr. Ellis and I in 1988, where we started our Parent Patrol. 1988, 2013. Wonderful. These were the parents. They were our mothers because we were all young mothers, young caring mothers. Although some of the people did not want to participate, a lot of them did. And then it came to Chuck Hill.
Raise that one high.
Chuck Hill was my all-time hero. He could talk you into doing things and make you think you could reach the sky. Between him and Mary Jones, they could talk you into it. They had me walking children from 49th and Wabash, one day to 53rd and State. From one day, we couldn't find the kids home. The kids finally told us he had moved. We've been walking back and forth for over half an hour. But that was the joy. And then there was Mr. Melvin Powell. This is our first, when we combined our local school council with the State Street corridor. You remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
We had so many parents until we had to move it to the auditorium in DuSable. So then we also got Miss Lou Jones, who was a representative, to come on board with us. Love the woman. Wonderful. Just simply. That's all you can say is wonderful. And she just spoke so highly, and she came to everything. And when we got ready to get our Parent Patrol jackets, we had one famous bear who came on the board. And he bought us jackets for says Parent Patrol.
Who's that? Who's the bear?
Chicago Bear player?
Mike, it's Mike.
Okay.
Singletary.
Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary.
He came and he mentored our boys, and he did a lot of things for us. As Mr. Sane, he was at the same time, he was mentoring our boys from boyhood to manhood, to man up, to be a father. So many of our boys could not make that bridge, although Floyd tried to push him through it, Chuck Hill. But then Mr. Kern, who was over education, came to DuSable and saluted us for being Parent Patrol members and caring parents. And we told him, it's in our heart. It's about our kids. Not my child personally, but it's the community. We had to come together.
God couldn't be here in the person, so he created a woman like you. Seriously.
Well, then
You
what?
represent grandmama's hand.
Oh, I am a grandmama.
And trust me, what Maalik was saying about this food that we ate, we could taste the love
Yes.
in it. And unfortunately, sometimes, brothers, we can't taste the love in the food because it's not prepared with that mindset and that vessel that produce those chemistries that make us feel good after we eat a meal. So, you know, that struck a chord when I looked at those pictures. I was looking at the pictures. That's amazing, the story. And we have to create a movement, further movement around the work of Chuck Hill and others.
Yes.
But Chuck was, in fact, the man. And many brothers and sisters from the Robert Taylor homes, DuSable High School,
They knew him.
Chuck was one of the best men I've ever met in my life. I mean, anytime your mother just tell you to go downstairs, Chuck taking you to Minnesota, and you got your bag packed, she trusted Chuck. And Chuck never let the community down.
No,
Took
he
us
didn't.
fishing. Chuck, we didn't know anything about bumper pool, and we know anything about. Chuck is the person that introduced us to consciousness. Yep, the AAYS, the African American Youth Society. Chuck. So the man was born for the work, and that's why sometimes the media, they distort, and they do what they, you know, it's sad to say they do what they have to do because they don't have to do that to sell news and get viewers. I disagree with that.
Well, if it bleeds, it leads.
If it bleeds, it leads, which is so sad.
That's right.
But I will tell you, you have been an inspiration, unbelievable. And I'm so glad you still at DuSable.
I'm still
Imagine what those children
Thank
are
you.
getting from women like you. I mean, that's a story. Maalik, boy, I don't know